Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, we're good to go, Yufeng. Thank you.
All right. This is our present. This is a presentation presented by me, Yufang, Ian, and Dimitri. And here's the table of contents of what we'll be going over.
All right, so once again, hello, we are Team B from WHSAD, and we are currently working on the information kiosk at Snug Harbor, and our group consists of Yufeng, Dimitri, and I, Ian. So what is Snug Harbor? This is a commonly asked question. Even I wondered what it was like in the 19th century. Originally, Snug Harbor was a retirement home that provided all kinds of services for retired sailors like Social Security and Medicare. It was founded in 1801 after the death of Captain Robert Richard Randall, who was a very important philanthropist over time. It then evolved to what we know as a cultural center slash botanical garden. Here are some slides of the beautiful places in Snug Harbor. On this picture, we can see every spot, including buildings labeled with letters and numbers. The information kiosk will be located near the middle with the italic I symbol. And here we have an overall view of the surrounding of the information kiosk.
Objectives. Next slide. So when observing the information kiosk, we noticed that there were some problems that were involving the kiosk. We realized that there was limited space for employees to work inside the kiosk, so we figured that we needed to increase the size a bit for the kiosk so that um, more employees can work inside. We also noticed that the insulation, there was something wrong with the insulation, that heat escapes from the kiosk in the wintertime. So with our idea, we want to include a kiosk that can help us in this regard. We also realized that we needed. Oh wait, could you go back for a minute? Sorry. We also noticed that we needed more electricity in the kiosk. That includes wiring for things like lights, a refrigerator, and also a computer. And we also noticed that the kiosk needs to be changed in regards to location. Next slide. So our objective is that we want a kiosk that is aesthetically pleasing. We want a low maintenance design, something that's simple but serves its purpose. We also want a kiosk that is serviceable, distinguishable, and sustainable. We also wanted to include like natural resources from the park that we can include into kiosks and make it aesthetically pleasing.
Site analysis. So right here, we have a screenshot of the view which is taken on the intersection of Fillmore Street and Gazebo Road. The red triangle on the right symbolizes the point of the street view, right here on the left. These are photos of the current kiosk, and the kiosk is still able to keep people under the roof safely. The kiosk is still able to keep in the employees, but we are still looking forward to changing the space it takes up around the park and the location. And the kiosk is also around where the tables where tourists sit down to eat and enjoy the view. After entering through the gates of Snug Harbor, you have arrived to a place that consists of many sites to visit. Here are some of the places. that Snug Harbor has in store for you. Snug Harbor has a collection of architecturally significant 19th century buildings on Staten Island with some nice green spaces. We have Carl Grillo Glass House, New York Chinese Gardener's Garden, the Ali, and these places will inspire the information kiosk because we would like to design a kiosk as empowering as these places where we will adapt some of the ideas like the roof on the Chinese Scholar Garden. Over here on this slide, we have a diagram to show the traffic for pedestrians and vehicles. Here is the sun path diagram. To keep it simple, it's a diagram that can help indicate the path of the sun. The time varies based on the season and as we transition to the spring and summer. The time of dawn and sunrise will be earlier while having later sunset and dusk time, while in the fall and winter it's opposite.
All right. When we talk about the purpose of information kiosks, it's basically to provide like information in general and like turn like directions. So like, have you ever like felt like you're at like a place you want to visit but you don't know where to go? And an information kiosk can come save your day since it can basically provide directions for you and get the best experience possible. Then I'll be talking about the precedent studies. Alright, here we have the Tourist Information Center in Ponta Negra, Brazil. So, I chose this design was chosen as like a precedent study because it stands out from like other information kiosks. Because this is more like a building itself, not like a little booth. And then and then the walls are like glass walls what we see through, and then the roof was supported by the glass and the um like the wooden beams. And here's the elevation and sort of like a floor plan. Next up we got the pavilion located in the Netherlands. So this was chosen as another precedent study because of like the uniqueness it sends out. Like it's like movable as you see on the left, and then just two of the four segments can move vertically and switch positions. And this way the pavilion can open and close. But one downside about this is like there's like a problem with like the system on the inside, it's gonna be tough to fix. Here's like a floor plan and elevation, and then we have when it's closed and when it's open. Next we have the kiosk in Saint Nazaire. This is basically a fairly simple kiosk with like has a metal shell with I think it's technically very similar to laser engraving, and then we can use that if possible. We try to implement that element and have like trees or plants shapes on our metal shell. Here's the floor plan and elevation. Not really elevation, but like side views.
Needs of client. So here, in needs of client, the kiosk has to be easy to clean after shifts, and it has to be accessible for the employees to get in and out with no trouble. Next, the kiosk has to have a simple design, nothing complex. Safety features, the kiosk must include a fire extinguisher, and must also include a first aid kit in case of an emergency or whatever the client needs. Programming and bubble diagram. So right here on this slide, we have the bubble diagram of the kiosk that we have in store, or like that we're thinking about it. And as you can see on the left, we have a color-coded example of what the bubble diagram shows here. And right here on this slide, we have a simple floor plan for the kiosk itself, or like a more redefined view of it.
Public spaces principles. Oh,
I'm sorry, Dimitri, are you okay?
I guess I'll just take over. All right. So while being like in the process of being actually like participating in this project, it did like a little like mini project on the side where we talked about like public spaces and like some like fundamental principles about it. And then one of them is you're never finished. Like specifically for this project, we come with like a design, get the kiosk set up, but like there's always room for improvement. And that another principle we had was having a vision. So regarding the information kiosk, having a vision is crucial prior to like the designing process. It can help with organization and like the planning aspect.
I
And
apologize. My laptop died.
No worries.
Yeah. So just to add on, sorry,
go
Yufeng.
ahead.
So just to simply sum up everything that Yufeng said, this principle is really important when designing a kiosk because, like Yufeng said, it helps with organization and planning. And when you're envisioning a kiosk, you need to first think about the surrounding area and how people can benefit from it before you worry about its appearance. So once again, we are Team B from the Information Kiosk of Snug Harbor. We appreciate you guys listening out. If there's any questions, comments, or concerns, we're willing to answer them. And again, thank you.
So I'm going to jump in, but I feel mindful of time because we have 2 more projects to review. So I'm going to be talking fast, but I want to say thank you very much. I love user-centered design. In fact, maybe I just don't care about design unless it is user-centered design. So I love the fact that you really put that forward as a principle. And I felt that in both presentations. And also in both presentations, I forgot to comment about how important it was to see the sun path, because in all honesty, I haven't thought about that at all in thinking about this visitor services booth, which we have been thinking about for quite some time. I want to highlight in your presentation, Yufeng, one of the things that you brought up was the idea that the visitor services booth could save the day. As a client, to know not only that you identified my needs, but that you also were affirming the import that I feel about the project was really helping me to understand and get excited about the fact that you could see why this was an important project. And I wanted to say that that was a meaningful moment for me when you said, a visitor services booth can save the day. In a way, it could be seen as a time waster if you're going through a presentation and you're going through the why, because the client has already identified a why. But to have you do that for me was an important moment. The other thing I want to talk about that was interesting to me was the Ponte Negra, to have that as a selection. Again, you have that added layer of utility. I saw an exhibition space in there. And then also, I also like to, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, the Plain Pavilion. I like that you acknowledge the risk of those additional mechanics that made that such a destination or exciting structure, which was super cool. But that was a question I was going to start to ask you, is what are the mechanics on the inside to make that thing move? And when you acknowledge that risk, I thought that was a great way to continue the conversation. between the client and the designer. The Saint-Nazaire, that laser engravings thing, that was another thing where you talked about a technical layer that was able to build that conversation with the client. And I saw in that design diagram, the schematic was great to see for seeing the venting options, and as well as seeing that the bathroom space and the storage space was there. And I want to finish by talking about how important it was. Again, it could be a time waster if you're in a high pressure with clients that aren't, only going to give you 10 minutes. But for me, I loved you reviewing those public space principles, because for me, it affirmed your philosophy in terms of how you approach this project. And again, built that rapport between a client and designer or builder to have that proposal there. I felt that those were important conversation builders for us to be able to know what your philosophy was, and to really have a point of bringing us together for deeper collaborative conversations. And I just want to talk about how important it is that you understand that you are never finished, because I love that principle. So that is I don't really have any questions right now, just for the sake of time. Puyan, you have any observations or comments you want to share?
I just appreciated seeing the layout for the insides of them. For me, to see things that already exist and then how they have it laid out is helpful to then plan for how we would want to lay out ours. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, we really appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess we'll move on to